I spent the last decade helping business owners sell their business and complete the transaction in a way where they were happy and healthy when they were finished. That's not an easy thing to do because it is something that after you've created your life's work of 20 years building a business, you're selling it to somebody you haven't met, there's a lot you're going to go through. I think what I can talk about today is going to really help you understand the journey you're going to go on and what's going to be important to you and your family in getting through it successfully. This is going to be more about the psychological and emotional side of this because eventually you have to remember people buy businesses. It's not companies buying companies. There's always people behind it. And that's what's going to determine whether you have a great experience or not. Your advisors, your brokers, your friends, your support, your employees, your vendors, your customers, they all play a role in here. And this is one of the biggest decisions that you're going to go through if you're a business owner. Part of what I believe is very, very important is to understand why you're selling and what your time frames are. A lot of what's going to be the most relevant things to talk about to a potential buyer are why are you selling? That's the first thing that they always ask. You need to be sure yourself why you're selling. And when you've made that decision to sell, you need to go ahead and go about the process in the way that all the professionals do. This is how private equity works. This is how everybody that owns a business wants to maximize the value. They all know that they need to sell on an upswing. These are things that you have to learn how to do, and you will. But the psychological side of this, the roller coaster rides, the sleepless nights, all those things, you're going to have a few of them, but when it's over, man, it's a great feeling. I wish somebody would have shared with me some of these things that really made it easier. When I sold my first business, I knew the numbers. I was a CPA. I understood what the financial impacts would be of certain things. But what I didn't understand was the process. And that process is one that emotionally can be a little bit taxing to you. So buckle up, get prepared, and let's go through the things you're going to have to do. So let's talk about the emotional journey you're going to be on as a seller. You've owned this business a long time. You might have started this business. Maybe you acquired it from someone else, but it's now yours. It's put food on the table for your family. It might have put your kids through college. It's providing a retirement for you. And it's the most important financial decision you're going to make for the remaining years you have. So what is it that's going to determine this emotional journey? What most owners experience is just like the 7 stages of grief. You've got experience of loss, fear, anger, resentment, all those things that we studied in college in psychology if you took that class. It's the same. You just have to be ready for it because you're going to go through it. We have a saying in this business that every deal falls out at least 3 times along the way. It's kind of true, and it's nothing that you can't handle as long as you're prepared for it. So part of this is getting yourself psychologically and emotionally ready to go through a few hurdles, bumps, call them what you want. There's things that are going to happen. If you've got the right advisors and you're in the right mindset, you're going to get there and you're going to get all the success that you deserve after working so hard in this business. Let me tell you why this matters. This matters because deals die because of people. They get built because of relationships and people, and they close because of that, and they also die because of that. So being able to stay level-headed, keep your business on track, keep your employees and your customers happy while you're going through this process is critical. The why of this, why you're selling, why you're doing this, you have to keep in your mind. Once you keep it in your mind and you have that goal, that's what keeps it your true north. You can keep going towards that goal. You can get through anything you have to get to, and it's worth it. Because when you're there and you got it, you look to your family and say, hey, we built this. Now here's where we are. I've gone through this. It was tough. It was perhaps difficult. It might have fallen out a time or two. It doesn't matter when you're done. You've sold the business and you're on to the next chapter of your life. And as I'm saying, it's people on the buy side, just like it's people on the sell side. What's in the mind of the buyer coming in? Most likely the business you have, if it's less than $10 million, which is kind of where private equity starts to play a role, it's probably going to an individual or a group of individuals that are searching for a business to buy. They're going to be wanting and they're going to be scared about what they don't know. You know the business better than they do. And if you put yourself in their shoes and you think like they do, it's going to make this all a lot easier. Because if you were the buyer coming in to buy your business, and this is what I will say to someone I'm working with, if you were buying your own business, what would you want to know? What would you be worried about? What would you see the opportunities at? And go ahead and talk like that to a buyer. Make them comfortable, build trust. Deals get closed because of trust and relationships. And it's important to understand the buyer has their own fears too. They're not here to abuse you, screw you, anything. They're here to get a deal done and make money. And you're here to get a deal done and take the money. So let's figure out a way to make that happen by building a relationship with the buyer and being honest and transparent about where everything is. That's how a deal gets done, and that's how everybody goes away happy and hopefully friends. Let's talk about trust and what builds that relationship. Buyers walk into a situation fearful and usually guarded. The more that you and your advisors can put them at ease with a proper memorandum, full disclosure, well-prepared documents, building a relationship, it makes the deal go much smoother, much quicker, and with less problems, including what we call retrading, which is they find something, they don't like it, they want a different price, and that starts all the tense negotiations about whether the deal is going to close or not. The more all that's covered up front and the relationship's built, if something happens along the way, you can take those credibility dollars and cash them back out by saying, like, hey, coming to you early, this happened, lost a customer, we can get through it, we're getting all these other things done. Buyers like that. They want to know what the story is. They want to know that you're there to get a fair deal done. And at the end of the day, if both parties feel like they were fairly treated and you've built trust and rapport along the way, you're going to go to the deal happy. And when you close it, you might be exhausted, but you're going to feel like it was fair on all sides. And that's the goal and what you're trying to do when you're selling your company. You want to sell it, you want to maximize your price, but you want to do it in a way that preserves your legacy, your integrity, your emotional health, and then your financial health. And that's why it's so important to do all this work up front, understand where you're going to run into your problems, and be in a position to adjust and be flexible and have that trust built with the buyer so you can sit down and talk through any other problems. It's just like life. It's just a big, important part of life. But just like if you have to sit down with a business partner or your brother or sister and work something out, that's the way we're going to approach this if we're working together. So hopefully I've been able to explain why this journey is as much a psychological one as a financial one. The numbers matter. They matter a lot. Let's don't kid ourselves. You have to have numbers. If your numbers start falling, then you're going to have a really good story about why, or the deal's going to have some issues and challenges to get closed. However, if you can navigate all the inevitable little bumps and hurdles and things that you're going to run into along with the buyer, and they can get through their process and they can get their financing closed, and this deal comes together, that's what we're working towards. That's what I'm trying to prepare you for. And I think if you walk into it prepared and you're working towards the same goal and building trust and rapport with the buyer, understanding what the buyer's needs are, understanding that they need to get a good deal too, that's what's going to make a successful transaction. So I hope this has been helpful. If you like it, please subscribe. We're going to try to put out more content all the time, and I enjoy this. So thank you very much.